Let's begin! This review is going to be based upon the new movement controls that have been added to the game in a new update. Both the DualShock controller and Move controllers are supported, but before the update, you had to keep pushing 2 buttons to simply move around the world. It really ruined the whole experience, and was quite frankly, the worst movement controls I've used in a VR game. Luckily, the new update allows you to use the analog stick on the DualShock to move around freely, exactly like you would in a normal first-person game, and the walking speed is slightly faster than before, so my playthrough was with this much improved control scheme. Paper Dolls begins with you in a car crash. After you wake up, you find yourself in a house and your daughter has gone missing. To find her, you will need to search all the rooms of the house. Most rooms are locked at the beginning, so you need to solve puzzles that usually reward you with a key. Interacting with objects mostly feels great. You are able to open cupboard doors, pick up objects for a closer look, and you must actually insert a key into a padlock to unlock a door. When unlocked, the doors are physics based, so it's quite realistic when you must go through one. But not so much if you do play seated. It can be a bit finicky at times to pass through. So playing while stood really is the best way to play, especially as your height in the game is set for a standing position. You can recenter it by holding the options button down, but if you die, it will reset to a standing height. This game really is intended to be played while stood. You're not alone in this house, as ghosts randomly appear in there with you. It is quite intense when you first see one, especially as you're never 100% sure when you will be greeted. If one gets close to you, it's an instant death, and you must restart from your last save point. To save the game, you must light an incense stick and place it in a pot. You will get into the habit of doing this a lot, due to the fear of losing some progress. Like most of these types of games, there are documents that can be read. It can be a bit troublesome to read them though, not because of how clear the writing is, as it is crystal clear, but because you must place the document at a certain position from your head for the text to pop up. It has to be quite close, which prevents you from moving your head around freely to read all the writing at the sides. You will need to read these documents too, as some contain information on how to solve the game's puzzles. In particular, the ones that require you to find an object that belonged to one of the mansion's residents. When you find one of these objects, you must combine it with a dagger and then stab the correct and very creepy person with it. A big percent of the game revolves around sealing these people with the dagger. Luckily, you can bring up the documents with the relevant item information for a reminder at any time, as it is stored in your journal. Graphically, it's not the best looking game. It does have blurry visuals, and like I already mentioned, it is quite dark. Your torch does have a little bit of an effect in the world, but only if you are up close to something. Also scattered around the house are some candles that can be lit. To do this, you must first strike a match on a surface, which is a simple action, but an incredibly immersive one. Not helping with the immersion at all though, is a blue-like light that glitches around in your eyesight every so often. It's mostly seen in the game over screen, but sometimes does appear in the actual house itself. I'm really not sure what it is, but I saw it often enough that I'm surprised it hasn't been fixed yet. Now I hate using walkthroughs to get through games, but this time I actually didn't feel bad about it for a couple of reasons. One of the first puzzle hints actually guides you in the wrong direction. If I had just listened to the hint, I doubt I would have got past the puzzle, so I was afraid of future puzzles misleading me. A lot of them didn't, but there was some that didn't really explain the rules of the interaction in the virtual world very well, so once again, I doubt I would have gotten very far. The second reason is the enemies that randomly spawn can cause you to make a massive detour around the whole house again, just so that you can reach a room you wanted to search. It really is quite annoying, and prevented me from wanting to spend time on solving the puzzles out for myself. Even more annoying was when a ghost trapped me in a dead end. It really did make peeking at a walkthrough even more tempting. The game is said to have around 15 hours of gameplay. Obviously, because I used a walkthrough, I can't be sure if this is correct, but I highly doubt it would take that long as you don't get completely stuck on a puzzle, which to be honest is quite likely. Trophy wise, the game does have a great list and does come with a platinum. Most of the trophies will unlock during the course of the story, such as when you seal each person with the dagger, and when you solve each of the game's puzzles. There are some related to collecting the documents, and also for completing the game on casual and normal difficulty. The only trophy here I think could be a bit hard to get is for getting an S rank. You are graded on a playthrough and deaths are taken into consideration. I doubt many would appreciate being trapped in a dead end and dying by a randomly spawned ghost, as it would force them to restart from the beginning of the game again for a good score. VR horror is most probably my favourite genre of game, but Paper Dolls was quite a chore to get through. It does have its fun moments and I did jump a few times, but how the enemies spawn and move around in the world ruined the enjoyment of one of the main things I love about these types of games so much, and that's the exploration side. When I unlocked the door to see a new room, I did get some enjoyment, but I just don't think overall it was worth the hassle, especially as the puzzles can be quite confusing at times. Interaction is the game's strongest point. Searching through furniture and lighting candles is very immersive. It's just a shame that the experience isn't of the same quality throughout. Now I love the fact that the developers listened to the community and added in new movement controls. It improves the game so much and actually makes a long journey somewhat bearable, but there's too many things that let the game down still. It simply lacks polish in too many areas. It's a shame that this game does lack polish, because there are some good ideas here, but they are just executed quite poorly. As always, if you found this review helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more PlayStation VR content.